Hello folks, it's Bernie here. So this is a message for co-working space owners, community managers and community builders. Emily and I are running a series of 5 live sessions to help you get better at running events in your co-working space. And we've called it Running Events in Your Coworking Space. And it's all part of the magic of European Coworking Day, because we found after running hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of events in co-working spaces over the years, the stronger we become as a community means the stronger our community becomes and the stronger the whole co-working movement gets. So we're running our sessions on our Discord community platform, and there's 5 of them, and obviously the best thing to do is to come to all 5 of them, but you can just come for the one that works for you. They're not going to be recorded or anything like that. They're all live and they'll be interactive, and there'll be, I'm going to say homework, but that sounds a bit scary. There'll be homework set so you can get to the next one. So the way to get to this is to RSVP in the link in the show notes, or if you go to the platform, which I think a lot of you listening to this will know, called Luma, and if you search London Coworking Assembly, you'll come up with the whole event calendar, and that also has our Unreasonable Connection event, which we run every month on there. So to recap, go to the link in the show notes, sign up, join in 5 events, which are how to run an event in your co-working space. And now let's get into today's podcast. Hello folks, and welcome to the European Coworking Day special for the Coworking Values podcast. And without further ado, in our luxury studio is Claudius. So Claudius, what are you known for, and what would you like to be known for?
Hi, Bernie. Thank you for having me here today. It's actually a bit difficult for me to tell you what I am known for, but what I definitely want to be known for is the Coworking Evangelist.
I see that in your LinkedIn headline? What does that mean? Because I know what I think that means, but I've never asked you directly.
Well, somehow have I somehow like creating new terms. So I am the chief art enthusiast at artagenda.com, which is my project for an online art platform. And when it comes to co-working, it's really something, it started 10 years ago. I came into co-working and I found, okay, this is something I want to give more. I want to also talk about it. I want to spread the word about it. And one of these tools is also the European Coworking Day. Another tool for this is the Coworking Switzerland Alliance, where I am a founding member 10 years ago.
So that 10 years ago, was that when you first got into co-working? Was that your first experience?
My co-working experience started in 2014, or actually at the end of 2013, when I was like the perfect customer for a co-working space. I was a solopreneur working at home in a home office, feeling a bit lonely, having a little bit of problems to structure my day. And then I met a friend who was involved in the creative industries sector, and we just started talking about uh, the situation of these freelancer and independent creative industry people. And that was over a coffee at 3 p.m. And we ended 9 hours later with actually the sketch of a co-working concept literally on the table in a pizzeria. And so the next day we started to look for some potential location for this concept. And also a couple of weeks later, I learned that this concept we had in mind already has a name. It's called coworking. And so in 2014, I started with the first coworking space. And in 2015, a group of co-working operators from Switzerland, that was listed on a website. We met in Zurich at the Impact Hub back then, and in the afternoon we founded Coworking Switzerland as the new alliance for coworking in Switzerland. At that time, with 12 founding members, nowadays we are going towards 200 co-working space locations all over
Wow.
Switzerland.
And when you founded that, did you already know about things like Coworking Spain and Coworking German Coworking Federation, or was that another thing you thought you'd invented and then found out it had already happened?
If I remember right, the German Coworking Federation, they were founded literally around the same date as we did. So, or even we were a little bit ahead, and then the Germans thought, well, if the Swiss can do it, the Germans must be able to do it as well. And so, but we were very early on in contact then. So not much about coworking Spain, but particularly with the German coworking federations and other alliances.
And then as you've got those 200 people, like what's because you talk a lot about the freelancers and the solopreneurs, and I don't think it'd be wrong to say they're the only type of people in a co-working space, but they're my people. Like all the people I've spent my time with in co-working spaces have been that kind of creator freelancer micro business thing. And what is it about those people that I feel you're very fueled by working with that community?
Indeed, for me, the freelancers and the people who have no possibility to commute to a corporate office at all because they are alone or in very small structures, I think these are the ones for which the co-working space is most important and is also can really become like a second home. And you don't have any natural colleagues at work. So the co-working community is really the place where you meet other people, where you can exchange ideas, when you can talk to other people with an open mindset. So in my opinion, it's absolutely crucial. If you go to a co-working space, sometimes people are a little bit surprised when they see, oh, here are people really working and they're not just drinking coffee all day long. No, it's a place to work mainly, but it's also a place for exchange, to meet at coffee breaks. And actually, it's this community that is more important to the freelancers and solopreneurs than for the uh, employees who also have the possibility to commute to an office. But still, in my but still in the past years, this group has become bigger. So we have the people who are employed, but they don't want to commute every day. And so there are new, there is a new, uh, now I lost track. Um,
There's a new way of working,
yeah,
or
there's a new way of working, and there's a new target group for the co-working spaces also.
I hate saying new way of working. It's like I had to rescue you there, but like it's the future of work. What is so with how did for those that don't know it, how did you how did co-work in Switzerland and you end up running European Co-working Day? What's the backstory to where we are now?
Um, in the 1910s, oh, well, Quatsch, 1910s. In the first years, we promoted the International Coworking Day because as Coworking Switzerland, we thought it's a good idea to have this day where co-working spaces all around the world open their co-working spaces and invite people. But it was always difficult to convince our members to take part because they always said, well, it's in the middle of the summer holidays. So we open our doors, but there's no one here to enter. They're all away on the holidays. So we started thinking about doing something like maybe a Swiss co-working day, which was on a different date. And as co-working space operators usually are open-minded and think beyond borders, also national borders, the idea of the European Co-working Day emerged. And so in 2022, I contacted the European Co-working Assembly with the idea, and that's how the European Co-working Day actually started.
Thank you for that. Because and for a long time in London, I was really into International Coworking Day, and it's only really only over the last 15 years that I've been like pretty much non-stop since 2008. I've been working with people in mainland Europe, and I never realized early on how much like everyone in it, like we live in Spain now, as you know, like everyone just stops in the summer. It, I didn't realize how, because London is just this, we have the summer, and people have school summer holidays and stuff, but Europe just switches off. And the first time I went to Paris in August, I couldn't believe how many people were not in Paris. It was just full of tourists like me. It's amazing. So I can understand how hard it was to get International Co-working Day running in August. And how did you like what did you hope would happen the first year we ran it? Because this is the third year, isn't it?
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
third year, and it was really difficult for me to define in the first year what is a success. Will it be a success to have like 20 or 50 co-working spaces taking part, or is it a success if we have 500 co-working spaces taking part? And so we had about 80 in the first year, and I think this was quite a good success. We had 18 different countries on board. So it was not just 80 from one country, but it was really a European idea. And so also with all these countries involved, we had this starting point to grow now within these countries and to move also to even more countries. So for this year, we aim for 250 co-working space in 25 countries.
The and then like in other things I've been involved in like this, like European Freelancers Week and other co-working things and other projects I've been in, like it always seems the hardest thing is to get those first few people to sign up. And once you get a chunk of people signed up, everyone joins in. Is that your experience with getting people to commit to European Co-working Day?
Yes, definitely. I mean, as long as there is no like role model, not no first edition where you can show how it works, but where it was just like talking about an idea that somehow, hopefully, will work out. Uh, that was most difficult because now I can tell people about what others did in the past, and it's not just about uh, pointing at ideas what one possibly could do.
That's let's talk about that, because that's the thing I hammer people with in London. And they go, "Oh, what do I do?" And we say, you can correct me live on air if this doesn't work for you, Claudius, but we say you can have two people having a cup of tea in your space if it's a small one, or you can have the Foo Fighters coming and playing a concert. But like, you just have to do something, because we found, and I've done this too. We found that people spend hours agonizing over what type of event is worthy of something like European Coworking Day or European Freelancers Day week. Sorry, and actually, it's just the fact people get together and connect. Is that the vibe you'd like to? Be awkward if you corrected me now, but is that the vibe you want people to get?
Absolutely. And when people ask me what kind of event do I expect them to do, my response is always, this is up to you and what, in your opinion, suits for the people you want to attract. So if it's a very social place, you don't need to come up with a very technocratic, technical event. And on the other hand, if you have a co-working space that is dedicated to a very particular group or a particular topic where you have people from a certain industry, it's probably a good idea to have some talk, seminar, whatever, that is circling about this very topic for which your co-working space stands for.
And at this point, we should say there's the if you go to the can you explain briefly, because this is a bit of an educational podcast as well as a story podcast, like what is available on the European Co-working Day website, because there's a lot of information there, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you can ask as many questions as you like, but most of the frequently asked questions are on that. So what can we find on that website, Claudius?
So on the public part of the website, we have the map with all the participating co-working spaces. For 25, it's not yet published, but it will be there. And on all of the pins, you have more information on the participating co-working space location and also links to the program. So is it just like open house from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., or will there be particular events? So this is what is published on the website, and it is filled by the participating co-working spaces in the backend. So in order to take part in the European Co-working Day, it's about creating a user account, and then you can enter information about the location or the locations if you have multiple locations, and you can enter the information on the program you want to uh, showcase. You can enter the. I lost you,
I'm still here.
Bernie. Okay, okay. There was some yellow blinking.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen, and
Yeah.
now to
So,
Claudius live.
so you create your login, and there you can add the information on the location or multiple locations and the program you want to showcase on the European Coworking Day. And we have a small team checking on all the information as well. So we just make sure that it's also structured in a way suitable for the publishing process. As well, if you don't have an exact idea what to organize or how to organize it, we have a small handbook with a lot of nice uh, checklists and information on how to organize an event for the European Coworking Day.
And then, so if the only thing you do, folks, after listening to this podcast, sorry, is go to the European Co-working Day website, and you can stick those words into your nearest search engine, or go to the link in the show notes, and just register your space. Because, like we said earlier on, the more people that sign up earlier on, the bigger and easier the whole thing will be. Because there's always, like in London, we always have this rush, like in the week beforehand, chasing people up who said they'd get involved. And I understand it because it always takes me ages to decide what I'm going to do for these things. But the more people get in earlier, the momentum your early registration will bring to the whole thing is you may not even know how much of a difference it makes to register early. And most people, because I follow a lot of stuff in events, most people sign up for events like a week before they're going to happen. And if you could challenge the status quo and be the people that sign up early, that would really help. Does that make sense, Claudius?
Absolutely. And also, in order to like announce and make a little bit of publicity about it, it's really helpful to have more registrations beforehand. This year, we also have a small contribution that is not obligatory, but recommended of 49 euros per location. And quite a big share of this we will then spend on advertisement, on paid posts in your region. So it's kind of a helping to give more reach through the European Coworking Day network, and I think this will also help to attract more people with if we join forces. So it's always about joining forces. Uh, Coworking Switzerland is about joining forces. European Coworking Day is about joining forces. European Coworking Assembly is about joining forces.
The because that's one of the things about co-working in general is the amount of people that do not know what a co-working space is or that you can even go to somewhere like that. And in so many conversations we've had over the years, and particularly in the last couple of years, is I did a post on LinkedIn the other day, which when I say people have commented, they spoke to me in person about it, and I said, "There's like," and it's very simple with this. I have to just spell out how I'm simplifying the situation, but there's around 1,400 co-working spaces in London, and there's around 9 million people in London, and I can't remember the exact figure, but there's something like 7.2 million of those are economically active, and they'll be in jobs and stuff like that. And economically active is a term that the UK government uses for people that are able to work or can go to work. And so it works out there's something like 60,000 people for every co-working seat in London, but yet London co-working spaces are always like trying to look for members. And there are some that are full and doing very well, but I don't know a co-working space in London that's going, oh my God, we're absolutely full. Sorry. So we need to, as an industry, we need to make a much better job of explaining and reaching out beyond our little co-working bubble. And I think that's where you're going with that, Claudius.
Yes, it's about creating a momentum to talk about co-working, not as just you and your space by yourself, but showcasing yourself and your co-working space in a context of all the other co-working spaces and all the other co-working uh, community members. So someone coming to your co-working space is also part of a bigger movement. And this is actually what the European co-working space is about, to create momentum by having one day where you plus 250 others all over Europe are opening your co-working space and inviting people in.
So just to wrap up, Claudius, like how how do you explain? If I'm a co-working space owner, how would you recommend I explain it to my members and then my other friends in my local area who run co-working spaces? Because I've found, like we were talking before I came on, I found there's some people like you and me always join in these kind of things, and there's others and they're not really sure what's that about? I don't know. It's like, mate, it's so obvious you should be doing this. But I how do you get the people that would like to take part but they're not quite sure?
So if you have not much time, you just make an open house and put yourself into the context of the European Coworking Day. Talk about it, spread the word, and it will help anyway to put your space on the map. If you have a little bit more time, you can have more program organized and it will help you even more. So in the end, it's up to the individual co-working space operator how much he or she can draw out of the European Co-working Day. But by having 250 co-working space operators doing the same thing on the very same day, there is a momentum, and you have an opportunity to talk to media, to reach out on social media and say, I'm part of a big crowd that is doing this co-working day. We are welcoming people not just in our space, but in 250 spaces all over Europe.
That's great. This it's always fun being part of these things.
Yeah, maybe there's sometimes a bit of a misunderstanding about the URL we have. It's a coworkingday.eu, and it's not about EU, it's about Europe. I mean, London is not part of the EU anymore with the UK. Switzerland, where I'm located, has never been part of the European Union, but we're all part of Europe. So this is really about Europe and our common cultural values and not about European Union.
That's a good point. People ask me something about that all the time.
The European Coworking Day is a one-day event, and currently it's all focused on this one day. But in the end, my aim is to build a community of co-working space operators that uses this momentum of the European Co-working Day also to stay together as a community and to be on peer-to-peer exchange throughout the year. So that's for me like the next step, going from this one day where we are not coming together as co-working operators, but where we are reaching out and using this momentum of peer community to stay in contact with each other throughout the year and be ready again for another co-working day the next year.
So constantly building momentum.
Absolutely.
That's a great place to finish there. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the show notes, we're very proud of our show notes, as you know, and there's a link to the LinkedIn co-working group where we'll be talking a lot about European Co-working Day over the next few years. And also there's where you can register for European Co-working Day. And wherever you are in the world, be careful out there. It is a jungle.